Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, we're right back on Project Ruby and right back on Ruby's right front fender. So as you guys know, the passenger fender's pretty beat up, got a lot of damage all over it. We already took care of some of it. We still have a little ways to go. And today we're going to be working on this area right here. It took a shot and it's dented out and flared out here. I got a crack. So we got to repair that. I can't get to the back side of it because the headlight can is spot welded in right here that holds the headlight fixtures. So I went ahead and made a shop-made tool to try to help pull this out. Now this piece right here is off the slide hammer that came with the spot welder, the stud welder. So what I want to do is put a stud right there and then put this over the top of it and slowly pull up instead of violently yanking with the slide hammer. And that way, while it's pulling, we can also manipulate the sheet metal by tapping with a hammer or pulling or pushing or whatever we need to do. And I think this should work out. I know there's other devices out there. I'm sure people have already made this, but this is my kind of way of doing it. So let's jump in here and take a look at the dent and the game plan to try to get this out. Okay, so here's the dent, and it's not a big dent. I don't know if you guys can see the grinder marks in there, but it dips right here. Part of the problem too is when that pushed in, it caused this to flare out. So that is supposed to be down. That's supposed to be down here, and if I pull on that, it springs right back. And so I think this dent has helped holding that in the up position, and it's fairly robust right here, so it doesn't want to bend easily. And on top of that, we have a crack right here. And you can see this part is in the correct spot, and then this part is up, right? So we need to get this whole thing bent back down. It should be flush all the way across here, not have that lip like that. And interesting, the other fender that didn't have a dent here was also cracked right here. So I'm thinking about, once I get both fenders done, cutting some sort of brace and either spot welding it or tacking it on the back side to add some strength right here, because both of them cracked in the exact same spot. There must be some stresses going on here that is causing that to happen. So the game plan here is I can see the low spot right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a low spot right there. And what I want to do is weld a stud in there and then put that tool on there and bridge it, and then pull up on that while I push down here and possibly tap around this area here and hopefully get that to slowly inch up. If we have to put a couple other studs on there and we just move around and kind of pull on them gradually, that'll work out great. But this really needs to be pulled out. I don't want to just slather some body filler on there because that profile needs to be correct. So let's go ahead and get this cleaned up a little bit and make sure that stud attaches really nicely, and get a stud on there and figure out some way of bridging over here, because that thing has to span over the top of it, and we have to have something to push on out here as well. Okay, I've never done this before, so this will be my first time using a stud welder. All these years of all this body work, I've never used one, surprisingly enough. But the low spot is right here. It's almost like a crease, so I think I want to put one right here to start, and then we may put one back here as well. I'll be using the heavier stud that's in the kit, and let's see what happens here. Okay, I don't know if that was long enough, but it feels like it's on there pretty good. I only hit the button for half a second. So let's take a quick look at my shop-made tool, and then we'll go ahead and figure out some way to bridge this, because it has to have a place to put each leg. And then we'll get to work on this thing. Okay, so here's the tool, and the body of it is just a couple of pieces of 1 by 3/16, and I put some spacers in here and welded it just to make the slot for the slider right here, and then just put some 3/8 all thread in here as a leg, and just a nut and a washer. So this is adjustable, so you can slide these legs back and forth and put them wherever you need to, and adjust the height if you need to, so you can put it like that. Now this is the piece off of the slide hammer, and that normally slides onto the post on the slide hammer. It's got a little tool that grips the stud, but that's metric, and so what I went and got a metric bolt that would fit in there, drilled down through the middle of it, tapped it so I could put a piece of 3/8 all thread on there. So that just threads on here, no big deal. And the whole idea on this whole thing is just basically being able to bridge like that, and then just cranking the thumb screw right here, the wing nut, and slowly pulling up. So not very complicated. Put a washer on the nuts right here to spread the load a little bit. In fact, I even got a couple of magnets, so it possibly could help me hold this, keep it from falling over while I'm working. So let's go over to the fender and try it out. All right, so here's the setup. So I just got a piece of wood, a little piece of 1x, and I've got a C-clamp holding it right here on this lip. It's not going to damage the sheet metal. And actually, that lip's turned up a little bit because of that dent. So that when I push down on this, then it'll push up inside there and it'll give me something to bridge over, because I want to put that tool straight across the stud, of course, and then we're going to pull up on it. I also have this squeeze clamp right here, and I've got it over here on the can. And so since that thing's flared up, what I want to do while I'm pulling up on this, I want to keep pulling on that and see if by pulling up on this, this is going to allow that to go down at the same time, so we can kind of kill two birds with one stone here. A little pull up there, a little pull down there, maybe a little tapping right here, and this will release. So, and ideally, while we pull on this and I do some relief tapping or whatever, the tool hopefully will get loose, because that has kind of relieved itself. But we won't know until we try, so I need to quit talking and see if my tool works. Okay, I got it set up. I got the board on here. I got the leg adjusted, so we're pulling pretty much vertical. I think if you needed to pull at an angle a little bit, this might come in handy to be able to lean it a little bit, but we don't know till we try that out. I put a piece of 10 gauge over here just to spread the load a little bit more. This part of the fender has no damage, so the last thing we want to do is push a dent right there while we're pulling this one out. So let's just go ahead and give it a shot here and see what happens. I don't know how strong those studs are. I can see it coming up, so I'm going to go ahead and put a squeeze on this right here and see if we can't pull this down a little bit at the same time. Get that up in there a little tighter. Pull down on the edge of it. So there is a crack right here I just noticed a few minutes ago. So, all right, so that's pulling up. So let's go ahead and keep going. And I just felt it get easier to turn the thumb screw, and it doesn't look like it's breaking away, so that's a good thing. Because you know, like a dent, when it's like this and will reach a certain point, then it loses some of its strength and it'll get weak and pop up easily. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a hammer, and we're going to tap on this really lightly. Yep, that just came loose. Let's put a little more pressure on it. It's getting hard to turn again. But if I feel across there, it pulled it up. So I think what I want to do is release it and maybe put another stud right here and pull up on that area. Doesn't want to let go. There we go. All right, let me get another one put right about here, and then we'll try it again. Now, if we overshoot a little bit, we can always tap it back down, but that's coming out pretty nice right there. Let me tap on this a little bit, and then we're going to move back over to this stud. Pulling pretty hard here. back squeeze on this thing. It's starting to go back where it belongs. Not feeling too bad right now. Got a little low spot right here. We may need to put another stud in there. I don't know, I may be able to reach that with a little probe and a hammer and tap that out. All right, let's release this clamp and see where we're at. Well, it stayed down a little bit, but it's pretty bent, and that crack right there I think isn't helping. So I think we may have to pull this out of the way and kind of get a little medieval on this thing, see if we can get this bent back where it belongs. But this is working. It's definitely working, and I like it because it's a lot more controlled than just taking a slide hammer and just yanking, and then usually you overshoot and pucker it out, and then you got to hammer it back. This seems to be working a lot more controlled. Those studs are pretty strong too. So let me bring you in close real quick, and we'll take a look at it, and then we're going to figure out how to get this piece down. Okay, so there it is, and let me focus. But that was low right there, and now it's looking pretty flat. You can see that stud looks like it want to break loose here any second. But this one's looking really good. A little low towards this side right by that clamp. Little dimple right there. We might stick one in there just for the heck of it and see if we can pull that up, and then we'll go ahead and try to tackle this. So let me stick another one on right there and see if that's going to come out. Okay, I changed my mind on that because this edge right here is kind of kinked down, and I'd like to try to get that out. So I'm just going to use a small screwdriver, and we're going to set it right here. I could just slide it between the two, and we're just going to go ahead and tap a little bit. And I'll keep an eye on it, because a little pointy screwdriver can do a lot of damage. It's not wanting to come up. Pretty close to the edge. Has a lot of strength right there. Might end up doing some filling right there, I don't know. What I'd like to do is pull up on that and then hammer right here to get that lip back where it belongs. So let's go ahead and try to get a stud on there. I don't think I can get them that close together, so we'll have to see here. Maybe I'll go ahead and knock this one off and then put one right there. Okay, so I don't know if the best way to get these off, to tell you the truth, so I'm going to try twisting it off and see what happens. I got a pair of vice grips here. Just grab it, hopefully. Let's give it a little twist. That didn't work. Let's try it this way. There we go. That worked out pretty good. Instead of using a grinder, I'll probably go too deep. So, heck, I could probably reuse that stud. Okay, let's reuse that stud. Put it right there. Nailed it. Okay, so we're pulling up right there. I'm going to give it a little bit more bump here, put a little more pressure on it. And I got my trusty piece of rebar here. I've ground flat on one end, and I'm just going to tap right here and try to get that out. Get a little more twist on it. When that dent went in, it really kinked to the corner of that and caused it to not have the right shape. I don't know how much these studs can take, but I got quite a bit of pressure on that thing right now. If nothing else, if we can get this body line right here where the headlight bezel goes straight, then we can kind of reshape it once we do the final body work. But that's starting to look pretty good. In fact, It may be pulling up a little tall, but that's okay, I don't mind that. Let's pull a little bit harder. Yeah, that feels a lot better. It's not really sticking out like it was. So I think we might be a little bit better right there. Doesn't feel as low either. So let's go ahead and pull this off and take a look at the whole thing. Okay, so I've got a small piece of angle iron laying in here, and it goes straight down, and that's where I have the vice grips clamped to it. And when I twist this, got a screwdriver to give me some leverage here. When I twist this, it'll go where I want it to go, but it won't stay. The sheet metal won't stay. And if you watch closely out here, you can see the sheet metal bulging up. And I think when this was hit, now the bumper, you know, obviously was hit when the car was all in one piece, and everything, this is bolted to another piece, and it got hit right here, and I think it changed the angle right here. And I can feel a little crease right here, and so what happened was, when it got hit, this was pushed in, this flared out, and it put a little kink right here, and it caused this to, you know, hold that shape. So I can't quite overcome that strength right there, no matter how much I bend on it. So I think what I need to do is I need to bend down like this, and then tap along this from the underside. So I got to flip the fender over, figure out some way to hold this in this position, and then tap right along that edge. So let me get that set up, and we'll see if we can get this to stay where it's supposed to stay. I don't want to just hold it here and weld it and hope it holds. You really want the sheet metal laying where it wants to be. It should just be relaxed in that position, and then we can fix these cracks, and then hopefully it won't come back. But let me flip this thing over, and we'll figure out how to make this thing stay where we want it. Okay, I had that screwdriver jammed in there, and then I just used a squeeze clamp and pulled it over, and it's kind of locked to the headlight can right here. So it's got quite a bit of pressure on it, and that angle iron spreading that load. So what we need to do is this body line right here, we need to get underneath here and tap on that. Now I could drill holes in this and then weld them shut later and grind it, you'll never know, but what I'm going to try to do is just put something in there and then kind of pry up and tap at the same time, and hopefully I can reach down inside there and just pry and kink that a little bit, that body line, and slowly get it to relief, since why we got the pressure on here. So let me give that a shot. I'm not going to film any of it, but that's going to be the game plan. Get something in there and pry and tap, and hopefully we'll get that, that angle right here to stay where we want it. So let me take care of that, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, we did make some headway, and this is a lot more round right here instead of kind of a 90-degree, you know, really sharp corner. So I broke the studs off, and there's still a little bit of a crease right on the inside right here. So I moved them, and I put them right in the crease. So with the pressure still on it, trying to bend that down as far as it'll go, it's starting to bottom out on the headlight can. So I'm just going to pull up on this while that pushes down and see if we can make some headway on that. Now, if I overshoot a little bit, I think that's going to be okay, because I can tap it down a lot easier from this side than I can the other side. So that one's getting pretty hard to turn right now. So that's not bad. I was thinking about making the thumb screw on this, the wing nut, really big, so I had a lot of leverage, but I think it's kind of good not to have too much leverage. But I can see it pulling up right there. So I'm going to pull a little more, then we're going to move over and pull a little more on this one. And then we'll see what happens. I can actually slide this right onto here, since this is adjustable. Yeah, it's pulled as hard as it can. Let's give it a pretty good little tweak. Boy, that's starting to feel pretty good. Okay, I'm going to grab a hammer real quick. We're going to tap right here and see if I can relieve this so it'll stay, and then we'll back it off and see what happened. All right, let's take this whole mess off and we'll take a look at it. All right, let's release this. Well, it didn't spring back too bad. Screwdriver out of here. All right, that looks pretty good. Look at that, huh? And it just goes to show you, you know, and I'll tell you guys straight up, back when I started and even halfway through doing this kind of work, I would actually a lot of times do more damage than the original dent by trying to, because I didn't think it through. You know, I just said, oh, there's the dent and I'm gonna do this. Well, a lot of times the dent affects so much more so far away. So if you kind of step back, think about it, bend on it a little bit and look for what's going on around, you know, around the sheet metal, around wherever you're working. And then it's going to tell you, hey, over here, look at me. So this is laying really nice right now. I'm really liking that. That's actually holding its shape without me pushing on it. So, and this actually came out pretty good. So let me break these off. I'm going to sand some of these little divots from these studs, and then we're going to kind of take a look at it and see how good it looks. So I have no problem putting a little filler in here. It's so hard to get to. I just want to make sure it's not a super high spot right here. But let me get these off, and we'll get it sanded up. We'll take a look at it, and then we can get to work on welding up these cracks right here. All right, I got it sanded, threw a little ink on there. See what we got going on. So we are not bad right here. It's just starting to touch right here. I don't know if you guys can see the grinder marks from the original repair. And I think I want to tap these down just a little bit. That one's especially, but it's looking pretty good. Now, remember, this is ink. This is like thin as you can imagine. So when I'm sanding across there, and if it shows a little bit here or there, it's not that big a deal. Now I can feel that. That is low, and I'm okay with that. That's no big deal. That's minuscule amount of body filler that it'll take to fix that. So, but I do want to tap these down. I feel like that one's a little high. I think this one might be just a little high right here, but the other ones, I could have pulled up a little bit more on that one. You can see the dark spot, that's where that stud was. And I could have probably pulled up a little bit more. And I could put it back on and pull on it, but this is very, very slight. So I'm just gonna tap on those really lightly, get those down, sand it, and I think that's perfectly good. I think it feels really good. I'm really happy with this line here, and I'm happy with this line here. So I'll go ahead and take care of that, and then we're gonna move over and get the TIG welder out and see if we can't get these cracks welded up. All right, we got that worked out pretty nice, so let's go ahead and get this welded up. I'm gonna take a dolly and just put it underneath there and try to flatten this out a little bit. Because it did kind of pucker up a little bit right there. There we go, starting to feel pretty good. There we go, feels pretty good. All right, I was thinking about welding it from the back side, but it's easier to grind it from this side. So let me get the TIG welder out. We'll get that wire wheeled and cleaned up. We're perfect right here, so we'll get that welded up and hammer it, and then we can get the other one done. And this will be just about, this little corner will be done. Okay, let's see if we can get this welded up. Now the crack goes to about here, but I'm gonna start a little bit beyond it and then work my way into the crack. Could have put a little more heat, but that's not bad. We're gonna go ahead and get this crack right here. Hopefully we'll get that little splinter that comes off of it. And then we'll turn and then we'll reposition and get that going downhill there. Just got to go downhill. I've got this clamp holding a piece of copper up in there that goes down so I can get that without it burning back. In theory, anyways. Okay, that one's done. We'll do a little grinding on it, see how it came out. Let's move over and get this one right here. Okay, this is pooched out here a little bit, so let's tap that in. It's nice and flush right across there. And I think I'll start welding up here and then turn the corner. I don't know if I can't really get anything in there, so we'll just have to be careful. Watch my heat. Okay, not the prettiest welds, but I try to make a little bit of a fillet across there. Let's get the grinder out and get these cleaned up, see how it turned out. All right, let's start with a burr tool just to knock the top off, and then we'll get the sanding discs in here. Okay, I was sanding over here, getting that weld knocked down. I think I'm going to leave it a little proud just to add a little strength. I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter. It'll be on the inside, but I got that filed up real nice. But I noticed a crease right here. I don't know if you guys can see that shiny spot? I ran some sandpaper over it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a block of oak with a piece of leather glued to it. Dave gave me this. He made it or invented it or whatever. So I'm going to use that on the outside, and then I'm going to use this hammer that came with that PDR kit. It's got the rubber on this side and kind of hard plastic on this side. And we'll just use that leathered piece of oak for a dolly, and we'll do dolly on. I'll just keep doing that till it's gone. So it's already diminished right there. So let me knock this out. We'll flip this over and we'll take one final look at this whole area right here and see how it came out. Okay guys, got the wax and grease remover on there so you can see how it came out. See a little bit of ripples right there, right where we had those studs welded in, but we can't get to the back side to flatten them out very good. But it has really good shape. See the lights coming through. There's a little BB or pellet mark right there I tapped out. It's still a little low. That's right where the crease was right there. But across here you see those lights. They keep a nice shape all the way except till we get to right here where we couldn't get to the back side. So I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, it's got good shape. So we're going to do a little filling right there. Not the end of the world. I just can't get to the back side, and I don't want to keep messing with it, and you know, I don't want to make it worse, that's for sure. But it came out good. I'm really happy with it. And my shop-made tools seem to work pretty good. I think it worked out way better than putting a slide hammer and then just, you know, yanking on it without any control over the whole thing. So pretty happy about that too. I think it's going to come in handy on other parts of Ruby. Okay guys, that pretty much wraps up this video on testing out my shop-made tool. And actually, I wasn't even going to make it. I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea. And I thought, it may not be worth the effort. You know, I got to put that time in. I could just use a slide hammer. But I think it worked out really good. I'm glad I did make it because it gave me a lot more control to pull up and then tap and then do other stuff instead of just sticking a slide hammer on there and giving a big yank and then, you know, another one and then deal with that and then, you know, keep moving back and forth. So I think it's going to be a valuable tool in the toolbox. Run out of room in the toolbox for all these handmade tools or shop-made tools, but I think it's well worth it. And this area came out really nice. I even actually welded in, filled a hole over here down low. I think the fender or the bumper was rubbing on each other and it just wore a hole in it. So this area is done. It came out really nice. I'm really happy. You know, really hard to reach, and that's where that stud, those studs really come in handy. We still have the area back here to do, and this fender's going to be pretty close to being done, at least as far as the repairs go. And that's going to be a challenge. That tree limb came down, broke the rafter, and then the rafter hit the car, and it put a pretty good kink right here in the body line, right on the corner. It's going to be fun to get out, but that's probably next. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.